AMC stock is down 7% today. Do you want to guess why? I'm sure you guessed correctly. We're going to talk about what's going on today with AMC stock, what you need to know, as well as our broader markets. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comments section, and let's get into it. So, first up, well, AMC down 7% can only mean one thing and one thing only at this point. Well, you have hit a multi-year low at $5.67 per share, down 7.2%. AMC Theaters unveils stock exchange agreements to pay down debt. The latest debt for equity moves revealed in a regulatory filing as part of a bid by CEO Adam Aron to shore up his company's balance sheet. In a securities filing on Tuesday, parent AMC Entertainment Holdings reported it completed a series of privately negotiated exchange agreements between December 28th and December 29th, covering in all 3.25 million Class A shares in exchange for 22.5 million for a buyback of notes due in 2026. AMC said the common stock had an implied value of $6.94, or a premium over the closing price of $6.14 on Tuesday on the New York Stock Exchange. The company may engage in similar transactions in the future, but is under no obligation to do so, the company said in the filing. Couple things to point out here. 3.25 million shares of dilution. That's 1 point. AMC is paying down 22.5 million of high interest rate debt expiring in 2026. Really a drop in the bucket compared to what we need to see paid down. But you are seeing an implied value that was actually almost $1 higher than where the share price was actually trading at the time. So I guess that's better than not, right? I would rather see AMC, selling stock at a premium to where the stock was trading at. But still, it doesn't cover up the fact this was still 3 million more shares worth of dilution. And I don't think dilution is necessarily the problem. It's more the problem of you're diluting shareholders at $6 per share. Like, the dilution does not stop. So dilution at $6 per share does very little in actually making a dent in AMC's, almost $9 billion worth of longer term debt. It just doesn't move the needle much, right? And 3 million shares diluted, it does move the stock quite a bit, right? As you can see, 7%. Now, the markets are kind of slipping today, not really doing so great. So maybe if the markets were in a better place, it wouldn't have been seen as bad. Maybe it would have been a 3 or 4% decline, but still, the point remains. It's just not where you want to be as an investor in AMC stock, right? Diluting shareholders at $20, $30 per share is a lot different than diluting shareholders at $6. The same dilution at, $25, let's say 40 million shares, would give you about $1 billion, which that does make a dent, right? For the same 40 million shares. If you dilute 40 million shares, like we've seen recently, at $6 per share, well, then you're getting like $200 million. Very, big differences there, right? Maybe a little bit less than that. Maybe my math is a little bit off, but you get the idea, right? The higher the share price, the more the dilution might actually make some sense. This just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Now, the markets today are really not in a great place. Fed Barkin sees likely soft landing ahead, but notes rate hikes still a possibility. He says, This is the Richmond Federal Reserve President Thomas Barkin on Wednesday expressed confidence that the economy is on its way to a soft landing. He compared the Fed's job to a pilot bringing an airplane in for a landing and noted 4 risks ahead. Despite noting progress on inflation, Barkin said the potential for additional rate hikes remains on the table. He says, "We're making real progress," Barkin, a voting member this year on the rate-setting Federal Open Market Committee, said in prepared remarks for a speech in Raleigh, North Carolina. Quote, "Now everyone is talking about the potential for a soft landing where inflation completes its journey back to normal levels while the economy stays healthy, and you can see the case for that." He says, however, Barkin noted that PC inflation on a 6-month basis is at 1.9%. So yeah, we're well on our way to under 2% inflation. He says the airport is on the horizon, but landing a plane isn't easy, especially when the outlook is foggy, and headwinds and tailwinds can affect your course. Barkin said it's easy to oversteer and do too much, or understeer and do too little. Longer term rates have dropped recently, which could stimulate demand in interest rate sensitive sectors like housing, he said. While you might think this would be a first class problem, strong demand isn't the solution to above target inflation. That's why the potential for additional rate hikes remains on the table. And unfortunately now he is a voting member. So the markets definitely took his words and ran with it a little bit today. Now, you also seen job openings that nudged lower in November, down to 1.4 per available worker. The JOLTS job openings came in at 8.79 million. The estimate was 8.8 million. So basically came in line with the estimate. ISM Manufacturing reported for December registered a reading of 47.4, slightly better than expectations, but still in contraction. So I would say overall, net, this was positive as far as the economic data today. I think a lot of this is just in anticipation of the FOMC minutes that come out today at 2 p.m. Some of the selling that is, and really, I mean, if you think about this logically, right? If you sold stock in December, well, you had to deal with you will have to deal with the tax burden here in the next 4 months. If you sell stock now, you're not going to have to deal with the tax burden for, a long time, like 14, 16 months down the line from now, right? So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense why some profits might be getting taken now to deal with that in what's going to be 2025. This also looks like a simple correction from the rally that we have seen. It's been very aggressive, right? Basically straight up on the SPY, triple Qs. IWM has definitely lagged behind more than the others, but still, they've all seen some pretty aggressive rallies, and markets definitely not afraid to give some of that rally back here in the first 2 trading days of 2024. Russell 2000 down about 1.5%, NASDAQ down 1%, S&P down 0.68%, and the Dow is down 0.62%. As far as AMC's Ortex data here today, keep in mind, take it with a big grain of salt. I don't think these numbers are accurate. I don't believe these numbers at all, but these are the numbers that we are currently seeing. 8.46% short interest of free float, $127.83 million worth of short positions, days to cover 1.02, 20.92 million shares that are currently sold short, shares out on loan 18.28 million, cost to borrow 1.15%, utilization of 29.1%, and a short score of 52.97 out of 100. So not the most impressive numbers, that's for sure. But again, I don't think these numbers are accurate. Now, as far as option activity here today to the call side, 63.14%. Option activity to the put side today of 36.86% of total volume. AMC's Stock O tracker data for this week shows about 750 calls currently in the money and about 68,000 calls out the money, 22,000 puts in the money, and about 13,000 puts out the money. Now that we got this dilution this week or today, this week's pretty much over unless we see something really bullish from the Fed minutes, unless we see really just a change of sentiment overall for our markets and capital does start to come back into our markets. That's still my expectation. Keep that in mind. I still do think money is going to come back into our markets, and I think a lot of it is going to come back into our markets. But the timing, the first week, the second week, third, fourth week, I don't know. Maybe markets want some clarity from earnings that will start to really come out for a lot of your big tech names in the end of January through the first kind of half of February. Most of big tech will be reporting in that time frame. Maybe the markets want some clarity from earnings, and maybe markets want to hear the full year outlook from some of these companies before you see a lot of money come into stocks. Who knows? Maybe it's just a lot of selling because of what we previously mentioned, the tax burden. Selling now compared to in December. Well, if you sell now, you don't have to worry about that tax bill for at least 14 months or so, 14 to 16 months or so. But prior, in December, you would have had to worry about that tax bill in 4 months from now. Taking a look at stock twits barometers over here for sentiment and message volume. Sentiment is 18, so extremely bearish. And message volume is at 37, so on the low side. So not really looking too good here. And again, it's that dilution. I don't even know what to say anymore. If you're not ready for massive dilution and the stock to go to zero, you better prepare yourself for that, because the more AMC dilutes the stock, dilutes shareholders at $5 or $6 per share, increases the odds AMC goes bankrupt, because it's going to make it harder for the stock to, reach $20 or $30, a level in which AMC could actually pay off chunks of their debt, right? AMC continues to dilute shareholders here. Let's say the stock goes back to $2 or $3. It's going to take a lot of buying pressure to get AMC stock to move higher from those prices. Like going from $6 to $20 is a lot easier than going from $3 to $20, right? Just how it works. And if you actually look at the amount of shares outstanding, like right now at $6 per share, it's a lot easier to go to 20. Imagine dumping another 40, 50, 60 million shares on the markets. You're going to have more shares outstanding. The stock's not going to move as much. So you got to be prepared for the stock to ultimately go to zero, guys. That's what we are contending with here as of right now. Adam Aaron, he's got to be the worst CEO I have ever came across, just in terms of how he conducts business with the shareholders, with the stock itself. Honestly, I don't understand how more people are not pissed off, to be honest, with what Adam Aaron is doing here. He's letting AMC go bankrupt. So yeah, that's a very unfortunate series of events, but we do have market tailwinds that will be, starting here in 2024, like more capital heading back into our markets. That should definitely help AMC stock maybe offset some of the dilution that we are seeing, and just overall money going into small mid-cap stocks should also help AMC stock, but it's not a guarantee that it will do so. Now, here on the day, 10-year Treasury yields are up just a little bit, about half of a basis point. You are now at 4.08%, almost 4.09%. So 10-year Treasury yields have come off the lows that we've seen. These are 30-year Treasuries. My apologies. Where's the 10-year? Where's the freaking 10-year Treasury, dude? I always keep the 10-year Treasury there. I don't know why the 30-year Treasury is there. That makes more sense. 10-year Treasury yields down almost half a basis point, but you're still up to 3.94% from 3.78% here just, recently on December 27th. So you have seen like a 20 basis point increase in 10-year Treasury yields. Not exactly great, and this is probably another reason why stocks have been on the decline. If you look at the AI investor sentiment survey, the most recent one that we have, 46.3% of investors are bullish, 28.6% of investors are neutral, and 25.1% of investors are bearish. Now, this survey was for the week ending December 27th, so we're going to get a new survey coming out, I believe, tomorrow or later on tonight. And what it's probably going to show is the bears increased a lot and neutral investors increased a lot. I think bullish investors starting to get kind of worried here as the markets have fallen 2 big days back to back. So I think definitely we want to be watching that, but we'll see it. It won't take long to get that actual data coming out. Now, if we take a look at the percentage of stocks above their 50-day moving average, definitely starting to reset a little bit. You're back to basically where you were during July at 81.46%. You're down about 2.34% here today. So overall, stocks by and large holding most of their gains that we have seen so far, but definitely starting to give some of that back. Now, in regards again to AMC stock, if we take a look here at AMC, AMC is down 7.77% to $5.64 per share. It is looking rough out there for an ape, okay? The RSI at 29.14, you're now technically on the oversold side, and your MACD line, while it's still somehow a little bit positive, it is starting to curl down and almost certainly going to go negative, and the MACD is probably overall going to go negative here pretty soon, which is not the greatest sign also. If we take a look at oil, USO is up 3% today, also not great. Treasuries TLT is down about 0.12%, also not great. If we take a look at the dollar DXY, let's see, that is up about 0.5% today. Keep in mind, typically the dollar is a direct inverse to the market. So dollar up, stocks down. Over the past 2 days, that's exactly what we've seen. Yesterday, the dollar was up about 0.5%. Stocks were down. Today, the dollar's up 0.5%. Stocks are down. It's not a coincidence that even back here on July 17th, which was roughly when the S&P peaked out during the summertime, right about I guess July 27th was the peak, but pretty dang close here. You could see on the dollar, well, the dollar started to rally, and that summertime rally came to an end, right? And stocks ultimately fell a lot because of this rally in the dollar. If the dollar starts to rally again like this, yeah, you could be in for a lot more downside. I don't believe that's going to be the case. Later on today with the FOMC minutes, we're going to get a little bit more clarity. So definitely something to be watching for. Now, as far as gold, you are seeing this very bullish trend that is continuing with gold. If we bounce off this trend line here again, well, that bullish trend might stay intact. If we actually break under that, that would probably be a good thing for the markets, I would imagine. At least that's something that I want to see happen, because, I mean, if gold continues higher, then it's really just, I mean, you got to question whether or not, gold is going higher for the wrong reasons, right? The wrong reason would be some kind of negative event maybe on the near-term horizon, the quote-unquote black swan that people have been talking about. Now, if you take a look at total option activity here today for AMC stock, you have about 63,000 calls being bought and about 38,000 puts being bought as well. So volume distribution about still not quite, but pretty close to 2 times as many calls being bought for every one put. The $6 strike pretty active to the call side, 22,000 for volume. $7 call pretty active as well, 11,000 for volume, and the $6.50 call active with about 9,000 for volume. So yeah, that's really the data that you need to know so far here on the day today. We'll be back in the next video to go over what to expect for markets coming tomorrow. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about all of this information down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.